Okay, guys, let's talk a little bit about Novatech. I posted a video a few days ago, and many of you asked questions about whether you're going to get your money, whether the money is traceable, and I just want to talk a little bit about the blockchain, right? And some of you have invested money in Novatech and Bitcoin should probably have already done this research and understand how the blockchain works, right? The blockchain is, let's say, I don't know how to describe it, but let's say it's a series of electronic record that you cannot erase. No one can mess with it. You can change it. You can erase it, and you can trace it back for years and years and on. For example, many of you, in order to send your money to Novatech, have used what we call Bitcoin platform. So in other words, you went to a Bitcoin platform like Binance, OneCoin, or whatever, and purchased Bitcoin, and then transferred that Bitcoin to a Bitcoin wallet that Novatech or Senfia Paytron gave you. Now that record is there, that transaction is traceable. And when Senfia Paytron received the Bitcoin into her Bitcoin wallet, whatever she does with that Bitcoin is also traceable. In other words, she could transfer it to another Bitcoin wallet. She can take the money, she can sell those Bitcoin and take the money. It would show. And because Novatech have collected nearly $47 billion. Now, this is bigger than the queen of crypto. And I'll tell you something, guys. I don't know if you know the history of OneCoin. OneCoin was started by this woman, now they call the queen of Bitcoin. She was on the CIA, on the FBI most wanted list, and the FBI is offering $5 million for her. They said she went to Athens, so nobody really knew where she was. But even though has been 7 years since, since OneCoin, since the FBI took OneCoin down, they were still able to trace the asset, and it was about $4 billion in the OneCoin. The government was still able to trace the asset and find out where the money is, and then they find out that some of that money that she used to buy property in Dubai. So I'm saying this to say to all of you who have invested money in Novatech that there is a lawsuit going. There is a legal procedure that are now in the process. There are certain things that need to be done. For example, if you wanted to freeze an asset, you have to go to court, you have to get a court order, you have to serve it, you got to get that asset, frozen. So all of these things are being done. They have located Cynthia Paytron. We are tracking her down. We know every move she makes. We know where she is. She's being tracked down. So our concern is not whether you're going to get your money or whether we're going to find out where the money is. We will find out, because there's no way to hide something that is being done in the internet. I mean, like I said, there's an electronic record. You'll be able to follow it through from point A to point Z. Wherever that money end up, wherever that Bitcoin end up, you're going to be able to follow it. So for all of you who are asking me questions about whether or not you're going to get your money back or whether or not we can trace the money, I'm here to tell you, yes, we can, and yes, we will. We're in the process of doing that right now. We've got an investigator, international criminal investigator on the case, and we are doing everything we can to make sure that we get that money for you. Now, also, in addition, I want to talk to some of the people who have worked with Senfia Paytron. There are a lot of people, for example, like Don Dunbar and Corey Simpson, Scott Booster, a lot of people that we came across who've worked with Senfia Paytron. And all of these people are what I call serial Ponzi schemers. Those are people who go from one scheme to another, and they spend their entire life doing that. That's the only thing that they do. That's how they make their money. And all of them knew that Novatech was a Ponzi scheme. They knew that there were no investment. They knew that Senfia Paytron was taking your money to pay investor that was before you and take the money of new investors to pay you that comes second. So in a Ponzi scheme, basically you always have a group of people who are aware of the Ponzi scheme, whether they are actively aware or whether or not they trying to basically say they ignorant of the fact. They knew it was a Ponzi scheme. Now, all of these people made a lot of money. They're like the first in line, first in time. They make millions. The people, the majority of people, 99% of the people will always lose money. The 1% are the top. And the top people are usually the people who are telling you how great this is, how much money they make, and how this has been the best thing since sliced bread, and how you should sell all your asset and give it to Cynthia Page or invest it because you're going to be the new millionaire. Those are the people that are being paid to push that narratives because they're part of the Ponzi scheme. They understand it's a Ponzi scheme. They know it's a Ponzi scheme. They're part of it, and they're trying to push it. So these people, those are the people that I'm talking to. And let me tell you guys, if you get engaged in a Ponzi scheme, the law firm of Morris Legal, which is probably the only law firm in the country right now, in the United States, who have expertise in litigating class action lawsuit against fraudsters, against Ponzi schemers, they're going to come for you. And when they're going to come for you, they're going to bankrupt you. They're going to take everything you've got. And I'm telling you, if you are listening to this video and somebody come up to you and they say they have this great idea how to make you $1 million, you may want to invest your own money, but do not for any reason try to recruit other people to become part of it, because you would be responsible. Now, in this lawsuit here, Novatech, for example, the lawyers, as I said before, they have amended their complaint. They have added some 70 people who basically were what we call captains, people that were working with Cynthia Patreon, people that were basically going around to churches and set up universities and basically promoting Novatech on YouTube. Now, these people now are being sued. And once you are sued in federal court in the United States, I don't care where you are in the world. I don't care how you think you can hide your asset. We will find those assets. We will bankrupt you. We will take your money. So my advice is, do not get involved in something you don't understand, because you're going to end up paying the price. So having said that, I'm talking to all of the investors of Novatech who are clients of Morris Legal right now. All of you have sent informations and participating in the class action lawsuit. I'm telling you that the class action lawsuit is moving very well. Sermons are being issued by the court to serve on the defendants. There are at least 2 or 3 defendants have already appeared by lawyers. We're going to litigate this issue. We know where Cynthia Patreon is. We know where Eddie Patreon is. We know where Deborah Brazil is. We know where Ricardo Roy. All of the top people who were part of Novatech, we know where they are. And we're tracking them. It's a matter of time before the FBI lock them up. But understand also that the state attorneys in New York, Letitia James, has a lawsuit kind of similar to our lawsuit, except that our lawsuit is a class action lawsuit. Letitia James, the state attorney's office, it's basically sort of an enforcement lawsuit. But this lawsuit is in the state court. It's in the Supreme Court of New York and Manhattan. But it sort of make the same sort of allegation, but based solely on New York law. However, the class action lawsuit is based on racketeering, money laundering, the type of things that normally you would see in a sort of a criminal indictment. But there's a civil part where you can actually sue someone who basically organized themselves as a criminal organization for the purpose of breaking the law, which is what Novatech is. So one thing I have to tell you guys, I was very surprised, very, very surprised by the nature of the people in terms of education, in terms of societal standing that were involved in Novatech. There were some very, very smart people who I would think are sort of the top 1% in the country, in the United States, very well educated people, but yet they were part of that Ponzi scheme. So the question that I asked, either they knew this was a Ponzi scheme and they're just greedy, and then they basically talk all these people into investing in something that were illegal, or they simply just turned their heads because they thought they were going to make some money. But either way, they won. So the question is, these people are going to have to come to court and explain to the judge, why did they think this was a normal or a legit investment? Now, I know some people are going to say, well, you know, Cynthia Petron told us that this was going to be good, we were going to make money, and she's a reverend, and she did this, she did that, and the other, and so on and so forth. Okay, all of this is fine and good. But here's the problem. If somebody comes to me and offers me an opportunity to make money, and I don't understand it very well, or maybe I do understand it, and I know it's fraudulent, and to the extent I could make money, if I invest my own money and I lose it, that's fine. But the minute I take it upon myself to then go out and start recruiting people and start putting a YouTube channel like this one here and start telling people how great this is and how much money that I've made, and technically lie to people about the nature of the investment, lie to people about the ROI, the return on investment, or lie to people about how many people become millionaires. This is all lie. All of a sudden now, I become an accomplice in this entire racket, because then I'm the person who's out there selling this, knowing fully well that this is wrong. But at least to the least, I would be negligent by not doing more investigation before I get other people involved. Now, if I involve in something and I lose my own money without getting other people involved, that's fine, because I could say it's my own money, no one is going to come to me and ask me questions about why I invested, unless I brought other people. Now, with the Novatech, what made Novatech interesting is that not only that Cynthia Petron knew that this was illegal. I mean, she's done it before with AWS. She knew this. But she did something that was interesting. She went to Brazil and picked up this guy and used that guy to steal money from Brazilian. She went to Mexico, pick up somebody and do the same thing. She went to New York and find a few Haitians that have standing in the community and use them to convince people to invest. She went to France. She went to all these African countries and get people in the country to convince their countrymen and their countrywomen that, hey, this is something legit. But here's what I'm telling you guys, okay? When it comes to Bitcoins, okay, this is really something new. This is kind of the wild, wild west. This is very, very new. Even the law, okay, has not been able to keep up with the growing, reach of Bitcoins. So, I mean, Congress, U.S. Congress have been studying it. They're trying to pass laws, and so is other countries like France, Germany, and so on and so forth. But we're sort of still behind. So people that like to commit fraud, they're going to use that to sort of make money for themselves at your expense. They're going to use that to try to convince you that you can become millionaires overnight. Certainly, I'm not saying that there aren't opportunities out there. I'm not saying that we should not all be looking for those opportunities to make money. But what I'm saying to you is, if somebody comes up to you and say, hey, listen, there's this great opportunity, you owe it to yourself to do some research, to ask the right questions. At least you can ask the professor, because one of the things that I do very well is research. I recognize fraud. I could see fraud from a million miles, because one thing's about fraud. I mean, there are a number of things, but I'll tell you, anytime something sounds too good to be true, 99.89% of the, almost 100% of the time, it's too good to be true. It turned out wrong. Because the economic system doesn't work that way. You can make money in investment. You can make money in real estate. You can make money by buying, stock and bonds. You can make money all different ways. But the money never comes overnight. All of a sudden, you become a millionaire, unless you win the lottery, which is something totally different. But when it comes to investment, it's hard work. It's hard work. It's time consuming. You have to understand what it is that you're invested in, and you have to understand what the returns are. When somebody's talking about 300% return, 200% return, please, that doesn't happen, period. Okay, it doesn't happen, okay? And so when people talk to you about passive income, all right? And many of you don't understand the term passive income. What does it mean? It means that you made an investment, and the investment is working for you to make you money, where you don't have to do anything except invest your money. Well, it doesn't always happen that way. Suppose you invest in real estate, you buy a whole bunch of houses, and you're sitting there, you're making enough money to pay your mortgage, and then you have a little bit on the side that you get as extra income, right? But you still have to maintain the property, okay? But you can hire somebody to do it for you, but you still have to pay for it. At least that investment is working. So when it comes to Bitcoins, here's what I want you guys to understand. For you to make money, you have to buy the coin. If you buy it for $10, you wait until it goes up to $11. You sell it for $11, you made $1. That transaction is time consuming. That transaction is very volatile, because today the price of Bitcoin could be $10, tomorrow it's $5, the next day it's $11. So it's very, very hard. So when somebody comes to you and say, give me your money, that I would make you money, you know it's bullshit, it's nonsense, number one. Number two, whenever someone is asking you to buy Bitcoin to send to them, there is a problem. Why can't you send them dollar? Why can't you send them US dollar? Part of the reason why they don't want you to send them US dollars, because once they get to taking US dollar, then it's a crime right there if they have any intent to do anything fraudulent. But with Bitcoin, it's a little different. They could say, well, you didn't send them US dollar, you send them Bitcoin. So whenever somebody tells you to send them Bitcoin, you should stop right there. You should not get involved, because a legitimate business where they have a license to do the business, they would mind whether you send them Bitcoin or you send them dollar. But if you looked at Novatech or AminiFX, Omega Pro, GOPX, all of these fraudsters, they all have one thing in common. I mean, they have more things in common, but there's one thing they have. None of them wants US dollar. Everybody wants you to buy Bitcoin. So in other words, you go to a Bitcoin platform, buy the Bitcoin, and then send it to them. Of course, the Bitcoin is traceable. Of course, I've said this before. You can trace it. You can find out when they receive it, what they did with it. You could do all that. The problem is that whenever you see that, whenever you hear somebody say, I don't want US dollar, I want Bitcoin, you know something is not right, okay? So, number one. Number two, whenever somebody promises you a rate of return that is unheard of, okay, they're not promising you 5%, 3%, 4% a year. They're promising you 200% within 16 months, within 18 months. You have to know that there's something wrong with it, okay? The third thing is, whenever a company, somebody comes up and say that to you, look at how long the company has been in existence. Look at the people who are in charge. Do some research on them. It's very easy. There's something called LexisNexis, which is a platform for lawyers. You could find anything you want on anybody. I mean, you have to pay for it, but you could do a lot of research. Do some research. Find out where the company is. And as a matter of practice, I wouldn't advise anyone to invest on any company that hasn't been there at least for 5 years. Because if that company is legit and is still going after 5 years, you know that company is legit. Now, think about AWS, right? 2 years. Let's look at Novatech. 3 years. Novatech started in 2019, 2021. It collapsed around 22, 23, so 4 years. So Novatech hasn't even made it past 5 years yet. So do your research. Find out who's behind the company. Find out whether they have any license whatsoever. The fact that a company is registered doesn't mean jack shit. Like, I can register a company in any country I want and then do nothing. So a corporate registration in a particular jurisdiction means absolutely nothing. It just means that there is a name, and that name is able to do business in that particular jurisdiction. Anything that has to do with investment, that have to do with money exchanging hands between two people for the purpose of investment, they are state law, they are federal law if you're in the United States that governs that. And almost all the time, the person needs a license. So if the person doesn't have any license, that's a huge red flag. Why aren't they licensed? Why didn't have any license? Why any governmental agency is supervising it? To me, that's a red flag. And if you looked at all the Ponzi schemers, you're looking at AWS, you're looking at EminiFX, you're looking at Novatech, you're looking at Omega Pro. None of the people involved had any sort of license to conduct that kind of business. And there's a reason why they don't. Because they can't. Because they are criminals. They're people who basically are out there to take your money. Now, with Novatech, I know that a lot of people all over the world, from Mexico to Dubai to Nigeria to South Africa to France to Spain, people lost money left, right, and center because this Ponzi scheme was widely distributed, and they had people who were promoting it, not just Cynthia Petron, who was probably the biggest queens of fraudsters, and I think that's what I'm going to call this video, Cynthia Petron, the queen of fraudsters. I mean, she's the biggest fraudster. Forget about this one coin lady. This one coin lady only took in 4 billion. Cynthia Petron probably took about between 40 to 50 billion. So it's a lot of money, it's a lot of coins, but we're gonna find it. So if you haven't registered, you haven't followed my channel, please do this. Subscribe, follow. I would give you updates about this case and another case that we'll be filing soon in the next few months. There'll be other cases we'll be going after other people, another company who has committed fraud. So if you become a subscriber to my channel, then certainly you'll get all that information. So I didn't want to make this too long. It's already 23 minutes. I wanted to make 25 minutes. So I want to thank you for watching. If you like a comment below. Let me know what you think. If you have any question, please do ask. I will. I often read all the comments and try to answer as much as I can. So if you have a question, feel free to ask it, and please do share that link with your friend, your family. Let's stay together. Let's educate together, because the fraudsters are coming together to take your money, and you and I can stick together to educate people, to let them understand what's going on, so that all of us can be safe, because all of you work hard for your money. I know that because I work hard for my money. So it is sad when somebody basically rob you the way that Cynthia Petron and her husband, A.G. Petron, rob, over 600,000 people around the world. So thank you for watching. Keep following the professor. Thank you.